The background story is that about 3 or 4 years ago, I met a really interesting man called Alexander Gosling, who, in a sense, is definitely a polymath. But one of his areas of expertise is he works for an organisation called the Bush Heritage, which is a conservation organisation in Australia. And through this initial conversation that we had, an idea, a seed, if you like, got planted. So that was then, and then at the beginning of 2020, I flew out to Melbourne to go on a tour around some of the conservation reserves of the Bush Heritage, to make notes and draw and experience what they do and learn. One of the things I try and do as a painter is I don't really paint exactly what something looks like, that's not really my talent, but I hope that I try and suck up the underside, the underbelly, if you like, of what might have gone before and what's also really there, literally in the soil. So I can go to a place and just get a feeling incredibly strongly. So for instance, when we first went to Ura Ura, which is the beginning of where the Bush Heritage started, the bush behind the sort of where we were sitting having a bit of a picnic, and then we went and explored in the bush, was immediately you were in there, you felt this, you felt a sort of, you were slightly in danger, the sort of wildness. So this painting, which is of a stringy bark, I mean, these trees, A, they're huge, and B, they're completely mad. The bark is peeling off, and it's kind of like some sort of chaos, if you like, the chaos of nature. Well, unfortunately, I'd only been there 6 weeks, but we had packed in this incredible journey in that 6 weeks. So we'd visited the Nardu Hills. We'd also spent some time in Melbourne, which was great. And then we visited the Liffey Valley, Ura Ura, this was in Tasmania. And then went somewhere on the coast in Tasmania, Freycinet. In that 6 weeks, I think what happened was that this landscape literally came inside me. It was sort of visceral. And I got back to Melbourne and went and stayed somewhere on the Mornington Peninsula, where I could begin to unravel and to decipher, if you like, what I'd made in these hurried sketches, because we were moving from one place to another, so I had all this sort of information, but it was pretty random and sometimes quite sort of quickly done. So then I thought, this is going to be okay. Got to a place where I had a little studio to work in and started to unravel, and then COVID happened. We had to come home. So then I came back. I've got to say, the word disappointment doesn't really cut it, because I was really enjoying myself. I came back to this studio and I brought the works I'd made, and I had some photographs. I don't really work from photos, but they're useful as reference. And then something odd happened where I think the power of the experience and the power of the place was inside me, and I literally just started drawing. And this is the reason I put this one up, is this was quite an early drawing. I start with drawing. I like to draw big. It gives you more opportunity to examine, in a sense, what it really was and the detail. And I spent the whole of the summer, while we were all in a sort of lockdown, I was locked down in here, but my mind was in Australia. Yes, I was sort of I was dreaming about it, so I would be working all day on these paintings, and then when I went to bed, I was dreaming about some of the places in Tasmania. So it was my entire subconscious was filled with this place. And I think that's why I've managed to produce some work. It's the nice thing for me, because I was disappointed, but the nice thing was I sort of relived the journey. I totally relived it. And so even though it was cut short, I was going to actually be there for 4 months. Even though the whole thing was massively cut short, I maintained living down under in the Somerset studio.